Good morning, good evening, and devotees gradually joining us. As they join us, let us chant Vandanam, Mini Vandanam, as we know. Jai. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Pitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakhan Cha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratrije Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shrivas Adi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And what have you and I, you and us, we, what have we been reading each morning and each evening, or at least remembering this week? Gurudev's words, one sentence. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is most powerful because only in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is there the full expression of self-surrender and the mood of calling to Radha Krishna to appear within our hearts and fulfill our heart's necessity for their service. Jai Shri Mahamantra ki Jai. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Guru Dev ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So it's the month of Kārtik. It's the month where we should not waste any time, not even those milliseconds when you are trying to do 25 hours a day remembrance. So those milliseconds, as we started today at 4 o'clock, we want to try to be as Krishna conscious as possible. And as we know, Krishna consciousness means Radha Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means Nitai Gauranga consciousness. And Krishna consciousness means Vaishnava consciousness and Guru consciousness. Krishna consciousness means Seva consciousness. Krishna consciousness means chanting the Maha Mantra. Krishna consciousness means only honoring Mahaprasada. Krishna consciousness means avoiding the unfavorable things which will certainly damage our devotional line. Krishna consciousness means accepting the favorable things which will certainly give us benefit in our devotional line. Krishna consciousness means perseverance or perseverance, whatever side of the Atlantic Ocean you're on, to persevere and to know that we are doing the right thing, which brings us to Krishna consciousness means faith. Krishna consciousness means surrender. And Krishna consciousness means sharing. So I'm going to ask you all to share something because I end up speaking too much. And this is back to basics. This is the time when we can be sharing tips on our life experience, what we have seen, what we have understood ourselves for the basis of our devotional life, which means actually the success of our devotional life by keeping the base firm. Hare Krishna. And since we began, we've got Many devotees joined us. Bhagavan Prabhu, Bhagavan Das Prabhu joined us. He's following Chaturmasya by the looks of things, as is Chinmoy Dev Prabhu, as is Udaran Prabhu. By evidence of your beards, I am saying this. And we have Chintamani Devidasi, and nearby, probably at the steering wheel of the car, will be Jayadev Prabhu. Oh, not at the steering wheel of the car. Jai, welcome. Nirupama Devidasi, who's arrived safely back from Zaporozhye to Govinda land. And she's in the kitchen already. At 5 a.m., she's in the kitchen. Jai. And Jivana Devidasi, Kumkum Devidasi, Sevarupa Devidasi, Paramananda Prabhu, and Praneshwari Devidasi. And I don't have my glasses on. I can't see which deity is there. Maybe San Jose. Which deity is there behind you, Praneshwari? Your microphone is off.
Maharaj is very close to you, extremely close, next door.
Okay, I'll have to make the picture bigger. Oh, it's here. My goodness. It's Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sunda of Navadip. And we're always remembering, really always remembering Navadip Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, right? This beautiful picture, which is worship, the picture of the deities. The deities can appear in the pictures. And offering our food to Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sunda in Navadip. This is where our prasadam, our everything is coming from there. And Sri Giriraj at below the picture, or in front of the picture, we should say really. And Giriraj named, given his name by Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj as Sri Giriraj Bala Gopal. Giriraj Bala Gopal. So here is Giriraj, and here is the home of Gurudev too. And maybe I mentioned over our back to basics, I don't know, but I suppose a month ago now, I was listening to audios and hearing Gurudev in the late part of 2009, or maybe beginning of 2010, I don't know. But Gurudev is talking about how he wants to come to Italy. And then Devashish Prabhu is there and saying, oh yes, you can come to Italy through London. And Guru is saying, no, not through London. I want to go to Vila Govinda direct. Is there a direct flight? And Krishna Kanta was there also. We could hear her voice. And so this is no doubt something for Devashish to hear, because as we know in the spiritual world, Guru Maharaj says, so are we ready that we may be given admittance? We may be given admittance on the edge and see Krishna with one of the devotees who was with us. We think, oh, they weren't a good devotee, but they're embracing, Krishna's embracing that devotee and giving so much affection, and I'm being ignored here on the outskirts. Are we prepared to accept this? Can we accommodate this in our heart? So Gurudev did many tricks in his dealings with the devotees. So Devashish was with him and Krishna Kanta, and then Gurudev saying, no, not through London. I want to go direct to Vila Govinda. So here are the deities of Vila Govinda right behind Praneshwari. Hare Krishna. And we have, by the way, with us, an ambassador, do not know, a representative at least of Salt Lake City Temple. So I don't know, Chinmoy Dev knows her, maybe.
Ashapurna.
Yeah, Ashapurna, you know everything. The word gets out. Ashapurna, the disciple, new generation Ashapurna. We have different generations of Ashapurna. And Ashapurna, disciple of Srila Goswami Maharaj, and she's here very happily from our twin ashram of Utah, Sweet Lake City. named by Munindra Mohan as Sweet Lake City, not Salt Lake City. All right, without further ado, this has given you all a little opportunity to make sure there are no gaps in our Krishna conscious program. 27 hours a day, because we're doing extra time for the month of Kārtik. We have to do extra. So already you've been Krishna conscious 25 hours a day. So now you need to be Krishna conscious for 27 hours a day. So I can pass the microphone to contributors. We'd like to hear contribution this week about Kārtik, about devotional service, about back to basics, about our devotional basics, something from the world of the Vaishnavas. I'd open the microphone. Who would like to reveal a contribution, donate a contribution?
Maharaj, I think Sevarupa really wants to say something. I can see that.
Does she? Okay, Sevarupa, you're up.
Dandavad. Thank you. I can't remember if it's my first Kārtik with maybe being initiated, I'm not sure. But I am not sure how what is the process that we are following. I know that I have and then in last night's class I heard that it's the month of Srimati Radharani, and I was thinking that we offering a ghee lamp to Lord Damodar, but I'm not sure what is the process and how are we following this one.
Okay. Because it's a Damodar Vrata, right?
Think
Let
so.
us see the official name. Who has the official name in front of them? I think Krishna, 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 Krishna. Okay, I don't have the official name in front of me. Today, so yesterday, 20. Damodar Vrata. Okay, good question. I can only say from being in the mat, because, you're pointing out the Damodar Vrata. Well, Damodar is Krishna when he's very young, no doubt. But I can say that actually in the temple, this month in Navadip, devotees and actually the villagers would regularly come and put a little light on the temple. But then there are 2 days in the month when they put many lights on the temple. And that must be coming up presently.
Deepavali?
But when is Deepavali? Is it in Kārtik?
A little bit later.
It's later.
But I don't see it. I don't see it in the calendar yet.
Yeah, it must be a little bit later. Anyhow, I can pass this one over to Paramananda Prabhu, because I've never actually thought about the Damodar part, the Damodar Vrata. Vrata means vow. So in Kārtik, we're making a vow to do something extra and actually trying to make it really our Krishna conscious month, not only a Krishna conscious day, Ekadashi and other days. We try to keep very focused on Krishna and try to push out, deliberately, more consciously push out material things, hence our restriction of eating and other restrictions. But the idea is that we are Krishna-centered, so also the month of Kārtik is a month to be Krishna-centered. Now the Damodar Vrata part of it, we are remembering Krishna as young Damodar, Mother Yashoda tying him to a rope, tying him by rope to a mortar, etc., and the young pastimes of Krishna. Paramananda Prabhu, I can ask Paramananda Prabhu, as we've already mentioned his name. Do you know something about this Damodar part?
Maharaj, we can only remember Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, his collection of the verses and everything else. But really, This is the Radharani's man, there's no doubt. But what is the wealth of Radharani? Krishna. And why Damodar? I mean, I haven't heard directly from Srila Gurudev exact answer on that particular question. And I haven't heard from Srila Guru Maharaj. And I'm pretty sure there is somewhere something about it. But by some reason, I mean, I did not open it just now. It was open before Sevarupa Didi asked that question. And we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu haven't left many verses. I mean, he left so many teachings to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, other devotees like Prabodhananda Saraswati, Jagadananda Pandit. But himself, he left Shikshashtakam. And Srila Gurudev mentions that perhaps there is another 2 verses. One of them is questionable. Did it belong to Mahaprabhu or not? But another one is confirmed to belong to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's a very peculiar verse considering who Mahaprabhu is from one sense. But it's one of those things that have no explanation on this plane and can be presented very nicely by the resident of that plane. But here's the verse, Maharaj. Perhaps we can get something from that. So this verse, just like Shikshashtakam, was composed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is a part of Prapanna Jivanamrita. So there's a reason why Srila Guru Maharaj puts it there. And it's embracing the Lord's guardianship. And the verse number, you can revisit it, 612. Dadhimadhana nidadais jakvanidra prabhati nibrita padamagaram balavinam pravishta mukha kamala samira ashunirvapya deepan kavalita navanitam patumam bala Krishna. Also remembering Bala Gopal. Why did he name Giriraj Bala Gopal? It's also connected to that, Bala Krishna, Bala Gopal. It's always related to a small Krishna, young Krishna. Like we hear how Krishna later on described as a Gopavesh, Venukar, Navakishore, Natawar. It's when he grows up a little bit, but now he's still a baby Krishna, but he is already so pleasing to everybody is just mad about his pastimes, including Srimati Radharani, who is still a very young girl too. So it is said that the most powerful protection is afforded by Sri Krishna, the Lord of divine pastimes in Vrindavan. That's Guru Maharaj's beginning of that verse. That child Krishna, who awakening by the sound of butter churning, stealthily enters the homes of the covered ladies, swiftly blows out the lamps with the breeze of his lotus mouth, and devours the fresh butter. May that Krishna kindly protect me. So what is he doing? Why is he being punished? Why he's been chased by Mother Yashoda, who wanted to tie him? Because he's just doing all sorts of mischief. He's stealing things. He's not just stealing it for himself, but he's feeding into the monkeys, creating all sorts of messes in the storehouses of the covered ladies, and so many other things, and killing demons in the process, like the very first demons, the Putana, another one who, which is very peculiar, who pretended to be the cart. Maharaj, you remember the name of that demon?
Not immediately.
It's very, very creative demon, anyhow. I mean, I understand when you're somebody, a human-like or a demon-like, but to pretend to be a cart, a carriage, that is something entirely new. So we're all remembering Krishna that day, but remembering in the light, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, in the mood of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So Damodar Vrata is about that, how open and how aprakrita seems to be very human relationship with Krishna are in Vrindavan. He is a child, he's been punished, he's been chastised, but at the same time, he's been loved by everyone. So we're remembering them, but in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, in the mood of the residents of Raja. This is our remembrance during the Mount Kārtik. And who is that? Who is the perfect example of that? Who is better than Srimati Radharani? So this is why it is called the month of Srimati Radharani. She's saying, focus on Krishna, serve Krishna. She is the personification of the whole month. She is the personification of Seva. And yesterday Maharaj mentioned, she is the love personified. Love for Krishna personified, quoting Srila Guru Maharaj. So she's trying to give us, share that love, share the vision of Krishna, how she is seeing Krishna. And she's not sharing everything, obviously. We're not qualified for that, but she's sharing something that we can conceive of. We can proceed in that kind of direction. So young Krishna, Bala Krishna, it's so easy for us to conceive of that. You know, everybody likes cute children in a way. So start from that. It's very safe area for us. We don't go into deeper, more intimate pastimes of Gopi and Radharani. That is hidden. And even our Guru Varga wouldn't venture there. Anyone who is serving under Shri Rupa will never venture there. They can come to serve, supply necessary ingredient, withdraw. And where are they withdrawing to? Govardhan. That's another point, and we will be discussing it a lot during our Kārtik Parikrama, and especially Govardhan Parikrama. Maharaj was very kind to allow 2 days for that, not just 1 day, but 2 days of Govardhan Parikrama. This is how we usually do it. We do 1 day half, another day half. It's not that Maharaj cannot do in one go. He can do very easily, but he's been very merciful and very caring for the devotees. Doesn't want everybody to collapse after the whole day of Parikrama. So 2 days of Parikrama, we'll be discussing the glories of Govardhan, which is our home. That's where we serve under the guidance of Shri Rupa and our Guru Varga. So this is our hope. I mean, now we can say, oh, that's where we serve, but we have to aspire for that service. So from that kind of perspective, we're seeing everything related to Krishna during this month, Kārtik. We're trying to develop some affection, aspire for affection and love for Krishna. And it's very easy for us to love Bala Gopal, Bala Krishna, who is doing all sorts of mischiefs, but very, very attractive, very charming character. Even Mahaprabhu, when he was small, sometimes he would go to the assembly of Advaita Acharya and all the devotees of Navadvip to call his brother to come back home and have some prasadam. And when the Mahaprabhu child, wearing practically nothing, that was the custom in India, wore nothing, just some string and some little kavacha sometime. He would appear in the assembly, then everybody will just suddenly filled with joy and ecstasy, and they couldn't understand why. Why every time we see this child, we're having so much love and affection, so much joy is coming to our heart. And they will be taking his older brother by hand and pulling him, oh, please, Mama is calling you, please come, please come. And that was irresistible. I mean, he's an elder brother. I said, oh, you go back, we're still having a festival, we're discussing very high topics about Krishna, but he wouldn't reject that kind of loving pull. And everybody couldn't say anything. They were just overwhelmed with love and affection for this child. So that's the perspective, Maharaj. If I think about Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, that angle I can take. But exactly 100%, word by word, why Damodar during this month? I haven't heard.
Right. That really is my answer. I haven't heard from Gurudev or Guru Maharaj, and so then I'm thinking, I'm not sure. And really, I've never, in all these years, been asked about this Damodar part. We all seem to come straight to the Ujjvala and Kārtik, Radharani and Kārtik. Ujjvasi, isn't it?
But what we heard from Gurudev Maharaj, and that is certain, that he said that it is safe for us to take shelter of the early pastime, early Lila of Krishna. That is absolutely safe. And considering that, that's the angle I took when we started discussing the Damodar Lila and Kārtik month. On one hand, it is very high subject. On the other hand, why Damodar Lila? It's not that Damodar Lila is not high, but anyhow, you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Jai. And maybe Kumkum or Jivana, you've heard something over the decades, am I allowed to say? Kumkum Didi.
Not me, Maharaj. I can't add. That was beautiful to hear.
Okay, Jai. And I don't know why I thought, anyway, I believe I saw Jagamohini, did he, on on
Yes, she's
Facebook.
in Dandavats. Yes.
Okay, and Rupa Vilas, but for some reason now my Facebook isn't showing.
Sevarupa from Mexico.
Okay, Dandavat. My Facebook somehow isn't showing its
Anukul
broadcasting.
Chandra.
Oh, many on Facebook too. To all of you on Facebook as well as on Zoom. Now, Dandavat to you. And Atul Ananda Prabhu joined us. And Atul Ananda Prabhu, just reintroduce yourself to everybody. We saw you for a moment. Govinda, Govinda.
When I saw the name, I thought it was the Pujari in Navadip, the very young Pujari of
Hare
10
Krishna,
years ago.
Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances at all of your dust of your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna. Atul Ananda, where are you calling in from? Just let us know.
I'm calling from Concord, Massachusetts, Walden Pond side.
Okay. And perhaps you know about us through Jayadev Prabhu Chintamani.
Yes, exactly. Very true.
Beautiful. All right, welcome. And actually,
thank you for honoring and giving the glories of Damodar and this Damodar Vrat for those of us who cannot be in Vrindavan, cannot be in Govardhan at this time.
Well, by these discussions, we hope that we actually do go there with our hearts, and that is a substantial journey. When we are there physically also, then we are sometimes, our mind can be far away. When we are far away, then we can be actually quite close by the mood of separation. So Atul Ananda, welcome. We're happy to have you with us. Hare Krishna. Jai. And Jeevan is showing her form also, which I think means she's going to give us a little contribution to. Jeevana Diri, some thought.
Well, I'm going to pitter patter after what Kumkum said, because I really don't have any, I don't have any particular Siddhanta, but just that I know that the month of Kārtik and, or month of Damodar, I kind of always have heard those kind of interchangeably. So I can't give any Siddhanta what is what, but we would always sing the songs, the beautiful Kārtik songs, and the Damodar Astakam, of course, is super famous and very much loved all over the world, I'm sure. Also the Shikshastakam songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that are sung at this time, and so many beautiful songs are sung at this time. So that's usually my feeling for Kārtik. And the other funny thing about this is that when this is just something personal, but anyway, when I first came to a temple way back in the day when I was in Hawaii and I went to the temple, and there were so many things going on, and I just used to wonder, I just can't understand anything. I just don't know what people are talking about. And then one day they told the story of Mother Yasoda and Damodar, and how she was trying to tie him with the rope, and she was always 2 inches too short. And for some reason, all of a sudden, that just struck me, and just came to my mind how this is really about how the Lord is personal and how there's so much love involved with that. And so I always, at this time of year, try to remember that kind of drew me in at the time. But yeah, otherwise, this is just a season that the devotees love very much, with all the kirtans and extra devotional songs that we can sing. That's pretty much my take on this beautiful season.
Jai Jeevana, thank you very much. Personal Krishna, personal Lord. Actually, I do not know, okay, now you're mentioning this, but when I can say we, but when I first kind of understood that, oh God, Krishna, person, relationship, it was very sweet and refreshing. And that was from Srila Prabhupada's books, and presented by Srila Prabhupada when he's telling about the fools and rascals. and then telling about the devotees, who they're devoted to. And it's so refreshing. It's just like it is a bit of a wake up, and we must try to keep those remembrances with us, not to become, not that it becomes a normal thing. Oh, yes, there's Krishna. Yes, there's a holy name. Yes, there are these things. But the television is much more important. At least by choice. Unfortunately, it's so easy to flick the switch of the TV and then that's it. Gone for the evening. But Kārtik month, the day to remove the plug from the television, what to speak of the remote, because it's the month to fill it up with Krishna consciousness. And this is the impression I got from Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. And in the Chaturmasya, the regulative principles for those who strictly follow those 4 months of the rainy season, traditionally in India, and then with each month comes increasing austerities. And this last month, the month of Damodar, the month of Kārtik, then this last month actually becomes very extreme. That, I mean, sounds crazy in the Western world, I suppose, but that austerity comes to just eating from the floor, just what you can eat. I don't remember the exact regulation, but basically 1 mouthful or something like that, very, very limited eating. And one noticeable thing, that everything related to the austerities is trying to get us, number 1, remember Krishna and his mercy, and number 2, to control the senses. Everywhere it's condemned, this enjoying spirit. Everywhere, practically every page, everywhere throughout the whole of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev's books, throughout the whole of the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that all credit is given to sense control, not sense enjoyment, the very opposite of the modern world's presentation, at least, of what is meant to be the standard of society, pumped into the children from the day 1 when they do watch the television. And so the sense control is always being emphasized. And this is the whole principle of the 4 months of the Kārtik time, that not to be attached to one place, not to be attached to good food, to luxurious living. Then our senses, they crave for food, they crave for the opposite sex, they crave for this enjoyment, that enjoyment, instead of craving for Krishna consciousness. So from the yogi point of view, the Chaturmasya is a time for being very clear that we're not to be for sense enjoyment. But from the devotee point of view, the Chaturmasya is coming through this final month of those 4 months. It's not the emphasis on controlling the senses as such, but on the absorption in Radha Krishna, remembering, hearing, remembering, chanting, engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service, headed by chanting. And it's a singing month. We were discussing yesterday, my remembrance of Kārtik from India. This is the singing month. It's the month when we sing so much in the morning and sing so much in the morning. There are lots of songs. Because remember, the songs that are in the songbook are in addition to what normally is being sung. It's not, okay, now we're not going to sing Samsara Davanala Lila Loko, etc. But in addition, I'm saying about the temple life. We know practical life at home, practical life going to work, and practical life in the ashrams too. Not so easy. So many things going on in the daytime for the maintenance and the development and all the things that are happening. But Navadip was the standard for which we all look to. And one thing, if we can, I know it's already day 2, well, it's day 2 for most of us who are listening, but for the first 3 days, really try to do the full program somehow or another. because that's for 3 days. Gurudev would give sometimes these restrictions for 3 days. Then in honor, like the food, the taking very simple. During these first 3 days in Navadip, by the way, we'd have extremely simple prasadam for 3 days. And then 4th day onwards, back to the normal luxury prasad of rice, dal, sabji. Rice, dal, sabji. Really, we're happy with that regular diet, and that's the diet of Mahaprabhu with Shak.
And Maharaj, you reminded about how Srila Gurudev pointed out, and that is also very relevant about Kārtik month. He said it's month of Srimati Radharani. She's trying to show, I mean, she's always serving Krishna. Krishna is the object of her love. So those who are the followers of Srimati Radharani, they want to join her in the service. And this month is particularly intense. So why are we limiting our enjoyment? Why we're doing all sorts of vrata, devotees taking extra service, extra rounds, extra reading, extra everything during this month is to assist. We're attempting to assist Srimati Radharani in her ever increasing service world. So this is why we're focusing on that. And that's what the Srila Gurudev used to say. And all the vratas you just described, in a Vaishnava way, you're reminding us that growing the beard is not only way to follow the Chaturmasya. So there are all sorts of rules and all sorts of sadhanas and limitations in our personal life and personal choices and preferences. Again, for the sake of the seva. It's like Guru Maharaj, when he explains about Ekadashi, what is the reason why we are following Ekadashi? And there are several reasons, several explanations, but the sweet explanation coming from Srila Guru Maharaj is that Krishna is also influenced for the Leela, according to the Leela necessity. He's also influenced by those planets at this particular time. So he is feeling increased desire to enjoy on that particular day, the day of Ekadashi. So what are the followers of Srimati Radharani will do? They will try to give him more enjoyment, more service. So in our part, we're not limiting Krishna. We're not offering him Ekadashi bhog. We're offering him full bhog. But we are taking limited choice of food, Ekadashi prasadam. But for Krishna, we're giving everything because we want to completely go in that direction, service direction, on this particular day, on the month of Kārtik, and actually, like you just mentioned, 366 days a year and 27 hours a day, was it?
During Kārtik, must be.
During Kārtik, or usually 25 hours a day.
Yeah. And the singing months, morning, beautiful morning program. And yesterday we did the whole program here happily yesterday morning with no gap from beginning all the way through. And that's another thing in Navadip, very often during the morning and evening programs, and especially when we had one or two of the Bengali leaders, there would be no gap between the songs. And that's also very sweet. Like that you go through and literally you find you've been singing for maybe even an hour and a half without a gap. No, one devotee, Western devotee, not a Bengali devotee, but he gave some analogy of the tiles on the bathroom wall. The tiles, okay, the water can't go through, but you don't want any gap between the tiles either. So when we're doing devotional service, they should be right close to, everything should be close to each other with no gap for Maya to come through the wall. But yesterday also we did like that. We pretty much here happily, because we're happily trying to follow the three days. 3 days at least to do the full program. And full, there is no limit to how full can be, by the way. And we do have remembrance, and it's so enthusiastic kirtan in Navadip during this time and during Gaurapanim time, during different times, and even during quiet times when we've had some of our like classic Bengali devotee visitors coming. And Dibendu, we've been thinking about Dibendu Bhattacharya, relative of Guru Maharaj. He was a headmaster in the Putsuri school. Putsuri is the next railway line heading north from Navadip, heading towards Hapanya. And he would come to the temple sometimes during the festival time, yes, but not during the festival time sometimes. And it'd be just like 4 or 5 devotees in the temple room. And how enthusiastic he was to sing. And nice voice, and you know the Bengali enthusiasm, but he with like full lungs and full everything, and very happy. Guru Maharaj is relative and lifelong brahmachari. Lifelong Brahman, very auspicious. You just see him and you think, oh, auspicious person. Now passed away, we heard. Hare Krishna. So the singing month we can add to our description of Kārtik. Yes, Praneshri David has, oh, someone has put, Praneshri has put, Shakatasura, the demon who tried to crush Krishna by destroying by dropping the cart on him.
But Chintamani gave the name first.
Oh, okay. All right, scroll up and there's Chintamani. Thank you very much. Yes, and Praneshwari, David Asi, you very often have some gem ready for us, ready to share with us.
Well, Maharaj, I want to take the opportunity because it's already quarter to the hour, and there is a question that is pending. Govinda Nandini, David Asi from Brazil, she says, Dandavat Maharaj, you mentioned in the class about humility, tolerance, and honor to all. Why is it so difficult? In West London last Saturday, that when you were distributing books in the streets, when people would tell you Jesus is the only one, you knew how to answer. Her question is, I would like to know what is the proper reply in this case when people asks me about Jesus or mentions Jesus.
I said I did know the answer.
Yes.
Well, I think if I'm to quote myself, I think I'll say I did not. I mean, I wasn't able to answer them properly because then they are like blasting me in different ways. And not only they're saying Jesus is the only way, that everyone else is going to hell, including pointing at me, etc. And we had a little idea we were coming to go to the opposite of hell. But the point is, maybe I also inferred that we know inside, the answer, we know inside, okay, Jesus is Guru, this, that, and the other, and that, oh yes, this is, I mean, my impression at the very beginning, coming to the very basics of coming to our devotional bhakti life, was that when I was reading Srila Prabhupada's words, this is what Jesus was telling us, especially Bhagavad Gita. Like Jesus is telling us about God. Serve thy Lord with all thy heart, all thy love and all thy might, maybe. I don't remember all the expressions. I made man in my own form, many things like this. So it was very much like a revelation that, oh yes, here's what Jesus is teaching, but our priest, he didn't know. Really, he was a good man, helping others, helping all people, but he didn't really catch all of this that was being given in Bhagavad Gita as it is and by Srila Prabhupada. Now you're asking me, so how to answer to the Christian who is saying Jesus is the only way? Well, we can think of Srila Prabhupada's answers also. And then he's saying, yes, what Jesus taught is the only way. So follow what he taught. Don't kill, don't eat meat. Don't do this, don't do that. Do chant the holy names of the Lord. Hallowed be thy name. And if we will do what Jesus taught, then we will be in a good position. But Jesus' teaching is not static. He is very much giving us the introduction. and telling us about, vaguely about who is God. But at that time, then people are not able to digest this whole the personality of God part so much, about what he does, etc. So that will put us in the right direction. It will take us to our home, but then we'll find that, oh yes, not just the general God, but then step by step, we'll come, by the Lord's grace, when he sees that someone is sincere, come to give the further installments. But when we are chastised or challenged or cursed in the street by the enthusiastic Christians, then we can come to that point that Srila Prabhupada would repeatedly come to with the Christians, the point of thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not kill. And don't be any part of that. This basic point, as long as that point is not understood, then the capacity to think more, we can think, is kind of filtered away. And then it'll be just something fanatical or whatever. But we have to follow, we have faith, we must follow what is taught. Praneshwari Devidasi has sent us, two things. Srila Sri Ram Maharaj saying, so here's a quote. Guru Maharaj saying, I am not speaking about the Christians, I'm speaking about Jesus, who has given the ideals of Christianity. Thank you, Praneshwari. This is another way. That what Jesus taught and what's going on in the name of what Jesus taught, we will see are two different things. So I am speaking about Jesus, Guru Maharaj is saying, who has given the ideals of Christianity. I'm speaking about the principles of Jesus. He has given some understanding by installments, but not full knowledge. We agree about the strong foundation of theism. Jesus was crucified because he said, everything belongs to my Father. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is his. So the foundation is very good. It is laudable, but that is only the first installment of the theistic conception. We must cross the threshold given by Jesus. He has declared, die to live. The Lord's company is so valuable to us that we must risk everything for him. This material achievement is nothing. It is all poison. We must have no attraction for it. We must be ready to leave everything, all our material prospects and aspirations, including our body, for him. God is great. But what is his greatness? What is my position? How can I engage myself in his service 24 hours a day? Here, Jesus is silent. We receive no specific program from the Christians at this stage. So Vaishnavism comes to our heart's relief to satisfy our inner necessity, whatever it may be. Our inner thirst will be quenched there. You may be conscious or unconscious of the many demands within you, but they will reach full satisfaction in its most beautiful form, there alone. It is not only that from far off we shall show God some reverential salute, but we can have him in a very intimate way. The ideal of an intimate, loving connection with God has been given by Vaishnavism, especially by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. Now there is Govinda Nandini's answer. But we're always, not always, we're often caught off guard by questions, like somebody very heavily coming in at the beginning, in the book distribution days, definitely caught off guard. And then gradually we get some fuel, some, not ammunition, that sounds aggressive, but some answer for the people. And actually this is wonderful, Praneshri Didi. Thank you very much for drawing this out. Yes, a search for Sri Krishna.
I had a few lines from experience on the streets.
And take it from me, everybody, Paramanand, who is very experienced on the streets of distribution of Krishna consciousness.
Like you said,
Yes,
in the very
Prabhu.
beginning till the very end, and actually forever we will face these kind of questions and challenges. And in the beginning, yes, it was very difficult, almost impossible. But then we learned about the 10th offense of one of the 10 offenses of the Lord, not to preach to the faithful. That's one thing that helps us greatly. Another thing, we gain some experience in seeing, is this person sincere? Is he asking you sincerely? If he really wants to know what is the connection, then you can tell. Or if he's just challenging you, then you can just say, Hallelujah, Hare Krishna, and then, leave him alone. But from my personal experiences, that the real Christians, like the real deal Christians who are trying their best to follow the principles of Jesus, like Guru Maharaj just pointed out, they will never challenge anybody. And we had wonderful examples when the Christian priests, we would meet them sometime on the street, and they were really sincere. There were different kinds. They were like, the ones who I can classify not as a human being, but something else. But there was someone who was worshipable for me, because really I can see that this person dedicated all his life in sincere search for reality. And it happened that he, became a Christian. Somehow his Sukriti took him there. They will question you and they will ask very sincerely, please tell us, we want to know more. And more than that, we had a Christian priest who became Gurudev's disciple. He wasn't initiated directly by Srila Gurudev, but he actually visited one of his talks in Lakta. And he was one of the prominent priests in Orthodox Church. And he had some disagreement because of obvious reasons. So he retired into the forest, and then a friend of mine, they were doing some activities in the forest. They stumbled on his humble hermitage and they had a talk, and he was very attracted. So he was invited to Lakta, and then he saw Srila Gurudev, he heard Srila Gurudev, and then later on he got initiated through Ritvik by Srila Gurudev. And that person embraced Krishna consciousness with full heart. He was in his late, probably 60s or maybe 70s. Whole life in a monastery, lifelong brahmachari. But he embraced Krishna consciousness, and he said that the answers I've been searching all my life in Christianity got answered in one evening. How wonderful is that? So he embraced it, and he had no difficulty to harmonizing it, to accept that Jesus is the son of the same God, the guru, the representative of Krishna. He had no difficulty whatsoever. And there are quite a few examples like that. We're not just so-called Christians because they're Christians because they hang a cross on their neck, or because they were born into a Christian family or educated in a Christian school. But really sincere seekers, sincere practitioners, Christianity. And this is really what Guru Maharaj points out. One thing, you call yourself a Christian. Well, how much are you a Christian? Tell us about the ideals of, just ask them to tell us about, preach to me. Tell me what Jesus was teaching about. So sincere practitioners and fanatical followers. Fanatical followers we should avoid, for our own sake and for their own sake, because otherwise us arguing will become a reason why they would commit offense, and we will take responsibility for that. We will have some reactions for that. But if they're sincere, then you can tell them. That's my practical experience.
Also here in Italy, we have now a very aged Bon Maharaj. He was a Christian priest and active preacher. And he came to Guru Maharaj, and others come to mind. Hare Krishna. And we're from Christian background. I'm from Christian background. And as I say, really it struck me, this is what Jesus was teaching, indicating. Hare Krishna.
A short funny story, Maharaj.
A short funny story.
Krishna Priya Didi of Thailand got initiated. A Saraswati Didi of London approached her and said, oh, now you're a Hare Krishna person. You're not a Buddhist anymore. Immediately Krishna Priya said, no, I am a Buddhist. I was born a Buddhist. I will forever respect Buddha's lotus feet. Saraswati, well, how is that possible? How can you be both? Krishna Priya said, isn't Buddha is the avatar of Krishna? That's just what I heard from Srila Gurudev. And then Saraswati was satisfied. So she embraced, she did not give it up. But she found that connection. She found how to harmonize the proper angle of vision. Isn't that our main service, in the words of Srila Guru Maharaj? Acquire a proper angle of vision, especially speaking of parikramas, the going to Holy Dham, and how to see through hearing. Because this time, really, we're going to see through hearing. That was the last thing.
Jai. And so now Paramanand was given a little plug, little advertisement that from the 24th Indian time, probably American time, I'm not sure, but from the 24th, yes, it will be 24th onwards, and culminating in Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja Day, then there'll be, as we did last year, the online parikrama, online Kārtik parikrama, which used to be on foot. Now it is online. So last year we did, and this year again, and it will be following the parikrama of Vrindavan side parikrama from 24th to the 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So that's 5 days, no, 29.
And 29 including,
24,
and the
25,
installation of the deities on the 29th.
Say that again, Praneshwari.
It's 24 to 29th, and on the 29th is also the installation of the deities in Chiang Mai. And then the 30th is the celebration for Srila Guru Maharaj. And then we rest after all the parikramas, and then we come back again on the 5th of November.
For Govardhan Puja and Govardhan Parikrama, 5th and 6th. And also these programs are a little flexible, and I've been discussing with Goswami Maharaj. And so they are flexible. And yes, this is a new event for the day before Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, the day before being 29th. And a new event is that they're going to install, means now begin the worship of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar. I believe that is the names of the days.
Just one correction, Maharaj, not installation.
Yeah, not installation.
But they're already installed.
Yeah.
So they're deities that have been worshipped for a long time. So we're going to invite them to a new temple. So more like just to be precise about it. So they are installed.
Yeah.
We're not going to have installation. They will be invited into a new place, into a new environment. New servitors will step forward to continue their worship. And another thing, Maharaj, just keep that in mind. We got permission from Goswami Maharaj to do our, much loved Jaipur parikrama. So you pick the day.
Oh, we did get permission. Oh, okay, well.
Maharaj may join or may not join, but really, you pick the day and we're going to go to Jaipur.
Okay, well, I think the natural sequence will be, and we were also already thinking that 2 days for Govardhan Parikrama, for Govardhan Puja and Govardhan Parikrama is kind of not sufficient. And I think that's going to become at least 3 days. And so let us see if the Jaipur section will come after Govardhan. And especially because we can take a train, because it's the 21st century. We can take a train from Govardhan to Jaipur without changing trains. And it's a nice train, very relaxed, no reservation required, nice local train, no honking of horns. Well, horn of the train maybe, but that's all. Okay, dear devotees, it is the month of Kārtik. Do your best. I know that most of you are in a home, you're in your home as opposed to a temple as such, but try to be in the mood of the Kārtik month and see if you can get some way towards like the morning singing, the evening singing, and it is very, very beautiful singing month. This is what we've called Kārtik. And Kelly Kadambanana, David Assi, and Abhinava Sundar Prabhu in their car in Australia joined us today. They are busy. They were doing something, delivering something, or they're doing, yes, you see, everywhere, everybody's busy to do things. So they're delivering prasadam, I believe.
How do you know, Maharaj? We could be doing anything.
Well, you could be, but a little bird informed me, maybe.
Oh.
Yes, delivering prasadam. Yes. Mystic. All the way from Australia, some vibration came and struck me. Hare Krishna. All right, it is the month of Kārtik, and the month of Damodar, the month of singing. And so let us sing, be happy, and try to get into the mood of the Kārtik month through the songs, through doing something extra, if we can, every day, to try to keep the momentum going. And we'll be reminded more and more as we come up after 3 days, we'll be joining into the parikrama of Vrindavan. Then on the 5th of November, the parikrama of the puja of Govardhan, and then the parikrama of Govardhan. And we just heard, you are the first to know, we'll go to Jaipur and Nathdwar just after that. And so that will be happening informally. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Well, as I said, we don't need reservations on that train, so we don't have to wait to see if we can get reservations on the train from Govardhan to Jaipur. But I think we can all get on that train happily. Jai Shri Kārtik Vrata ki jai, Jai Shri Radha Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai, Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai. And Navadip Saparika Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai. And as Praneshri has behind her too, Jai Shri Giriraj Balagopal Ju ki jai. So Giriraj Balagopal, baby Krishna, young Gopal ki jai. And Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Guru Dev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Bhaga ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. And to Malad Hari Didi also, I see, joined us. Our obeisances to you. And Anukul Chandra, and those who are with us, Sevarupa Didi in Mexico, and those who are with us, Jagamohini, Rupa Vilas Prabhu, and others who I can't see on Facebook Live, here Zoom Live, and to those who do watch later, you're very welcome. We're very happy to be with each of you. Vanchakam Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam.
Jai Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat from Krishna Priya in Sokel, Maharaj.
Dandavat Krishna Priya, yes, Dandavat Dedi. Dandavat to all, one and all. And to, okay, I know more are watching, but to those who are rather will be watching or seeing us now in a recorded version. So each of you, we're remembering you, Dandavat Pranam, and a beautiful excerpt from the Search for Sri Krishna about Jesus and his teachings, and may we all continue happily to Goloka Vrindavan by the grace of Guru and Gauranga. Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare